As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our light give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our day be among those who kindle light.
New box.
I can try this, I usually can't get it.
You got to do the top one first and then the trigger.
Which was that?
Press the top one and then the trigger.
Oh. He's been doing it wrong all these years.
I actually figured out you can adjust the flame on that, so I turned it up a little bit to make it easier to light the
Never
candles.
trying to be mechanically inclined. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who housed us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Yes.
All right. So these are a reading from the 18 Shabbat Blessings for Peace in Israel and Palestine by Hilo Ratzabi. Feel free to join in with me if you like. May this light embrace all who are suffering through war. May this light spread and reach toward the hostages, wrapping them in a protective embrace. May this light illuminate paths of safety and shelter for the people of Gaza. May this light shatter barriers separating food and aid from innocent civilians. May this light open space for the people of Israel and Palestine to process their grief and anxiety. May this light break open the barriers in our hearts. May this light soften anger and fear. May this light erase thoughts of revenge. May this light give us strength to stand up against extremists in power. May this light hold gently the traumas of our past and the traumas of our present. May all the people who call Israel and Palestine their home come together to grieve and witness each other's pain. May we transform our grief into solidarity. May our solidarity pave the way for a shared future. May we nurture the divine spark in ourselves. May that spark shine out to include our families, friends, neighbors, and all who live on earth. May the divine light from before creation inspire us to choose life. May this light empower us to build the future we want to see. May this light guide us on the path toward healing and peace. We're going to turn to page 123 now, and I'd like to invite Bruce up to lead us in pitch.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'rata v'hanu b'shabbat kadsho b'yahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Ki hu yom tehila lemikradei kodesh zeher l'tziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu v'harta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamin Shabbat kadshecha b'avat uvratzon Hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. There. All right, we're going to continue now on page 127. Let's read together. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We're going to turn forward now to page 138 for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, la la la, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'diburechad, hishmianu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet, v'haliti la lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neilcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maseh v'machashav techila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kum mitzai mitocha hafecha, rav lach shevet be'emek habacha, ve'hu yachamol halaykem la. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yamin u'smol tifrotzi, ve'et Adonai taritzi al yad ish, ben partzi v'nismecha, v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha u'vetzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. All right, folks. I'm going to do Yedid Nefesh now. Actually, Suzanne, I remember a while back, you actually looked up where the full song is in the back of the Siddur for folks. Do you think you could find that again? Yeah, sure. What was that? What's that, Rachel? 636 if you want to look at it in the book. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. Yedid nefesh, yananaya v'rahaman, meshoch avdecha, el ritzonecha, yarutz avdecha kemo hayal, yishtachaveh el mul hatorecha, Yedidutecha Adonai, Yanai Ziv Haolam, Nafshi Cholat Avatecha, Ana ilna refana la, Beharod la, Noam Zivecha, אז תתחזק ותתרפא, והייתה לה שמחת עולם, ותקיה אמונה, ינעי רחמך, וחוסנה על בעינה ובך, כי זה כמה נכסף, לראות בתפארת עוזך, עיני לי חמדת ליבי חוסנה, ואל תתעלם, יגלנה, ינעי ופרוס חביבי עלי, את סוכת שלומך, תאיר ארץ מכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה בך, מהר אהוב כי במועד וחוננו כי מעולם. Yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yadai dai 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 dai, yanai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai 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 nai. All right, going to turn to page 140 now, for Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot L'Adonai, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Lehagid Baboker Chastecha, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך רנן. מה גודלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. All right, and finally, we'll turn to 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh Barchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim akadosh baruch hu. Tzitchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Let's turn to page 145 now, and we'll read together in English. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Please rise with me if you're able and comfortable doing so, as we turn to page 146 for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam voed. Please feel free to have a seat. And we'll turn to page 149 now. Please read with me in English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Let's turn to page 150. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadata, Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu ufumenu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach v'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha leolam voed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negeh, yomam v'layla, v'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Going to turn to 152 now. Please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so for the opening of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kavod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Please feel free to have a seat. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha, hayom al levavecha, Shinantam levanecha, v'divarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. All right, let's continue on page 157. We'll read together in English. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefela, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, Zelianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugealom yad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael. Let's read together on 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. All right, let's turn to page 162. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, mekadeshei shvi Shabbat. Kulam yizbehu ve'itangu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kideshto Shabbat. Chemnad yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat, Zecher L'maseh Bereshit Shabbat, Zecher L'maseh Bereshit Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei Shabbat Bekore, Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei Shabbat Bekore, Oneg Shabbat. Okay. Let's turn to 164, and I'll invite you again to rise if you are able and comfortable doing so for the beginning of the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, l'man shemo b'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye metim ata rav lehoshia, morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hametim. All right, folks, feel free to have a seat. And we'll turn to page 171, and let's read together in English. Days pass, and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments where your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Let's read together on 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 174. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael, Tfilatam yava tekabel, utehi l'ratzon tamid, avodat Yisrael amecha, el karov l'chol korav, panei alavadecha v'chonenu, shefol ruchacha aleinu, v'techazen einenu b'shivcha l'tzion berachamim, Baruch atah Adonai, amachazir shchinato l'tzion. Here we are on page 176. And as we always do for our Thanksgiving blessing, we're going to give folks a chance to raise your hands and to share something that you're feeling grateful about this week, something that's been a blessing in your life. We'll begin with the English here, and then if you'd like to share something, raise your hand, and Robin will come around with the microphone so you can share it with us. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks.
I am very grateful to have good friends like Vicki and Elliot Nyman. I had to go to the ER this week, and Vicki took me, and she stayed the whole time with me, even canceling an appointment that she had that afternoon. And she was like a mother hen. Anytime I had to go to the restroom, she would follow right behind me and stand guard outside the door to make sure I was okay.
Thank you.
And I'm very grateful to have friends who even like to celebrate birthdays more than I do. I was told when I was a kid that my parents said, you take out a full page ad in the press for your birthday. It's like, why would you think that would be a problem if I could afford it? So I'm very grateful to the Cokers who have been celebrating. In fact, Rachel and I already started celebrating last week. And I'm grateful to everybody who has shown up here. Just make sure you leave me plenty of the food that's in there to be able to have.
So did you take out a full page in that?
I am very thankful that I've spent the last couple of days visiting with my children and seeing my grandchildren, getting lots of hugs, and not believing how tall they've all gotten. But we had a wonderful visit, never long enough, but it was a wonderful visit. And I, of course, came back to celebrate Rachel tonight.
So even though those of you who had to drive down the Vestal Parkway today might differ, I'm going to say we're thankful for a new academic year and a fresh page in everyone's notebook and sharp pencils, and thankful to be sending our kids off to college. This is our first year sending both of them away. So it's nice that they're both here tonight before they go. And lots of other Temple Concord kids, Anna and Evan, whose grandparents are here, and Eve, and lots of others are headed off for their freshman year. So it's an exciting fall.
I will repeat that I am very grateful all the people who have been driving me since I stopped driving, and a few who have called to see how I am. I'm also grateful that my daughter came from the Rochester area to visit me today and clean out my closets of everything that was outdated.
Anyone on Zoom that I'm maybe not seeing in the list of names there? Let's read together down at the bottom. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulchana elehodot. And finally, we're going to turn to page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMevarech et Amo Yisrael b'shalom. Let's take a moment now for our own personal prayers and reflections, and we'll join back together with Oseh Shalom in a second. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru amen. Folks, we are turning forward now to page 371 for the Misha Berach for healing. And in our healing prayers this evening, we are going to remember Raphael Alietti, David Ben Esther, Terry Bennett, Dan Binbutel, Thomas Brophy, Tom Brown, Lester Bergman, Louis Calcetera, Tegan Christofferson, Keith DePan, Elsie Deutsch, Llewellyn Egan, Lauren Furman, Sandra Gutman, Robin Haas, David Hecht, Sheila Hickok, Sari Katsu, Sharon Kersheimer, Helen Lewis, Jim Mason, John McFeely, John Muller, Rowan Nociolino, Jeremy Orden, Manny Orden, Robin Orden, Ken Roberts, Jim Rosenstein, Sherry Schwartz, Shmuel Emmett Ruvain Mibetz Abraham Basara, Elvin Ben Shmuel Emmett Ruvain, Jennifer Stile, Rabbi Lance Sussman, Liz Sussman, Timothy Swindell, Dick Watanabe, Rhonda Waxman, Elena Witter, Phyllis Young, Eugenia Zaroli, and Yigger Zop. And if you'd like to add anyone's name to our healing prayers tonight, just raise your hand and we'll get the microphone around to you.
Joan Wagner and Carol Allen Story.
Thank you.
Leah Mead.
Thank you. Misha Beirach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Praying for a refuah shlema, a complete and speedy recovery, to all those that we're holding in our hearts this evening. Folks, I'm going to stop sharing the screen here for a moment so I can share a few words of Torah. It's going to be familiar to those of you who happen to be with us here for the board meeting on Tuesday night, because I shared some words there at the board meeting, and I ended up feeling like as I went through the week that this was kind of important stuff to kind of think about, especially at a time like this. And so I kind of expanded some of my thoughts a little bit and decided this is something good to talk about tonight. And the thing that I want to talk about is the way in which, in a world where, in a situation where so many of us end up getting so overwhelmed by the many extremely large and pressing things that are gathering around us and calling for our attention every moment, it can sometimes be remarkably easy to forget about the comparatively small things that are also part of our purview that we ought to be paying attention to. The beginning of our parasha tonight begins, V'haya ekev tishma'un et hamishpatim ha'ela. And so it will be, in consequence of your attending to these laws and observing them faithfully, Adonai your God will maintain faithfully for you the covenant that God made with your ancestors. And in Hebrew, the word akev, which in this context means consequence, the result of something, can also mean heel, as in the heel of one's foot, right? Which comes after you when you're walking, right? And there's a midrash which makes use of that connection to suggest that this verse may be urging us to pay a little more attention to the lighter commandments, those whose apparent insignificance may cause us to let them fall to the ground and, as it were, tread them beneath our heel. The Midrash cites a similar verse from Psalms, which also uses akev in this way, imagining King David to be saying, I am not so worried about the heavier commandments because they are heavy and thus harder to disregard. I'm worried about the lighter commandments because they are light and therefore easy to disregard. David's sentiments echo the words of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, who said, be as careful with the light commandment as with the heavy one, for you do not know the reward for the fulfillment of the commandments. This is a praiseworthy attitude to have. Definitely sweat the small things attitude. But it isn't always so easy for us to achieve. Life puts many demands on us, and it's always going to be necessary to prioritize. When weighty matters are pressing, sometimes our smaller obligations must give way. And the world that we live in, amidst the chaos and difficulty of everything that happens all around us, it wouldn't be so surprising if issues that aren't actively clamoring for our attention end up being forgotten and disregarded altogether. Sometimes a small matter disregarded can grow into a big problem. Furthermore, the way in which we reckon the significance or insignificance of an obligation often has a lot more to do with the status and influence of the parties involved than the real moral weight of the situation. In many ways, the true greatness of an individual is determined by the care and attention they give to what others might regard as small matters and insignificant people. It's easy, when we feel weighted down by heavy matters, to tell ourselves that we will attend to those lighter ones once things have settled down for us. But the sad fact is that the things so rarely settle down in these crazy times of ours that the hoped-for moment of tranquility may never really come. It becomes necessary somehow to attain some kind of balance, to find some time here and there to attend to the small matters, even as we struggle to deal with the great ones. We may have to accept that we'll never be able to give any one thing the attention that it really deserves. And we need to work instead to ensure that no devar mitzvah, no matter of sacred obligation, is ever neglected utterly. And so for our discussion tonight, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts might be on the difference between a heavy obligation and a light one, and how you try to balance between the two. As you know, if you got something to say, just raise your hand and Robin will come around with the microphone and share, and you can share.
What popped into my mind first was obligations that many times have to do with work.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go back many times and look at an email because here's the problem. And then I realize I go back and before that, put little spaces down to sort of say, so how was your weekend? Or what happened? Or it's very easy to also influence somebody made a mistake and then take for granted that you should say, gee, you did a really nice job on that. thank you. And it really makes a difference to people if they feel appreciated. And that can happen in all kinds of other relationships. I mean, if you have a friend who does things for you and you don't bother to at least say hello. I mean, I'm not married, so I don't have that part, but it would be the same thing, I think, with a spouse, to make sure that you take the time to make sure that you let them know the things you appreciate also, and not just, you forgot to take the garbage out, or you didn't pick that up at the grocery store. It was like, thank you for thinking of me, or doing something like they're working and I don't know, they like a cup of tea. So you make them the cup of tea without waiting to be asked. And even though that's not so much commanded, but it's still, when you look about how we're supposed to recognize B'Tselem Elohim, the humanity of each person, that you make sure that you do that, and not just get too harried that you forget that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I have given a lot of thought recently to the idea that when people get overwhelmed, just like in life, the instinct is once you finally slow down that you need rest.
Mhm.
But I have done some reading about the idea that maybe it's not actually like rest that you need, it's fun. Like actually truly resting is boring and not really fulfilling and doesn't really like help your like soul and your spirit feel better when you're overwhelmed. But doing things that feel rewarding, doing things that feel fun is very easy to disregard as like something that you'll do once everything calms down. But like if you don't do it, then nothing will ever calm down.
Sure. Well, and the need to have fun, to play, right, can seem like such a trivial thing that it doesn't even seem like a devar mitzvah to us, right? It doesn't seem like a matter of obligation. But then when it's kind of similar to what Rabbi Rachel was talking about in those sort of like little moments of kindness or little moments of connection, right? That play an outsized have an outsized impact on like the bigger picture of our lives when you look at them in aggregate. Yeah, I like that. Anybody else have? Oh, here we go.
It's the simple things. It's saying thank you. When you're in a store and you're checking out, the cashier may say, have a good day. Tell them to have a good day. Say thank you. We're always ready to complain and let somebody know they've done something wrong. But how many times do we remember when a server did a good job to thank them or to say something to the manager? Those are the kinds of things that recognize the humanity in the other person. They're just not there to serve you. They have a life and they're a human being. And we need to remember to say thank you.
Absolutely.
Something that I never thought about until this conversation right now is that being that I'm home a lot of the time and, sometimes on my computer, but I seem to hear things pretty well because I oftentimes keep my door open, my front door open, my screen door. And when I hear the mail being delivered or I hear something being dropped off on my front porch, like a package being delivered, I get up, walk outside, and I catch the person before they go too far, and I say, thank you. And they'll turn around and say, and it just makes me feel good that I'm giving them the appreciation for their, not just doing their obligation, but the fact that they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who's waiting to share something with us? All right, I think that may be it for tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your wonderful comments. We're going to go back to the prayer book here. And I'd like to see, can I get someone who would like to volunteer to come up and open the ark for us for Elaine? Anyone want to volunteer to do that? Okay, cool, great. Come on up, Robert. We're going to turn to page 587. And please rise with us if you're able and comfortable doing so. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liyotzeh b'reshit, shehu sam chelkenu liyached et shemo, v'gor aleinu le'amlich malchuto, v'anachnu chorim, u'mishavim u'modim, Lifnei Malach, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Please have a seat. I'm going to turn to page 591. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo u'shmo echad. All right, Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. This week, we are mourning the deaths of Stephen Grossman, Francis Rothstein, and Joseph Feldman. And we are also remembering the yard sites of Erwin J. Rosenberg, Jack Chayette, Benjamin Lewis, MD, Rosaline Newberger, Jerome Bauman, Alfred Weiner, Milton Weiss, and Ruth Rappaport. Please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba bi'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'galav v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabba mevarach le'alam u'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shemei dekudsha briku, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. May their memories be for a blessing. All right, feel free to have a seat for a few moments. I'm going to just share a couple of quick announcements with you. One of those announcements is that this week we've got a couple of things coming up. Tuesday, that's August 19th, the Social Action Committee is meeting at 7 p.m. Friday night, like this coming Friday, August 22nd, we're going to have a potluck Shabbat service, which means that that's going to be at 6 p.m., not at 7:30 like we usually do. So hope you can make it out for potluck Shabbat. We also have on Sunday, September 7th, there's going to be the religious school is hosting an open house for people to come in and get to know Temple Concord and get to know our religious school a little bit. So if you happen to know of any families in the area who might be looking for a religious school for their kids, please help spread the word. We want to get people in. We want to tell people all about what a great temple we've got. Yes. So for those of you online, what was just to pass on the message, please make sure to send in your Book of Remembrance materials ASAP, because the deadline is not only here but past at this point. I'd also like to invite Glenn up here to give us an announcement. We have a special security training that's coming up on September 5th. And he's going to tell you a little bit about what that's going to be like, and to make a plug for folks to show up a little early for Shabbat services that week to participate in. Please.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So thank you. So as the rabbi mentioned, with her blessing, we are going to have a training and educational session for everybody here just prior, be 7 p.m. I think we agreed on just before services. So it'll be about, relatively short. It'll give you a chance to walk through some of our, let's say, needed procedures in the unlikely event that an evacuation has to happen during a service, to ask questions. It also gives the security committee a chance to fine tune our process. So it'll be very short. I promise we won't embarrass anybody. And for those of you that are online, to get the full experience, you really need to be here, but you will get something from being online as well. So any quick questions? There will be a notice in Beirut, September 5th, which I believe is 3 weeks from tonight. So 7 p.m. So it's really to help everybody here. We hope it's something we never have to really do, but I've never been a head in the sand type of guy. I like to take the bull by the horns and say, okay, we have a problem. Here's how we're going to fix it. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, okay. Thank you.
All right, folks. As usual, for other additional stuff that's coming up and other information about what's going on here at Temple Concord, take a look at Wrote and our weekly emails that we send out. We're going to continue here on page 625 with the Don Olam, and then we'll wrap it up and head on into the social hall. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem ko yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefetzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yiyeh b'tifara ve'hu echad ve'en sheni lehamshilo leachbira beli reshit beli tachlit v'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra ve'hu eli v'chai goali v'tzur chevli b'yitzara ve'hu nisi umanos li menat kosi b'yom ekra b'yado afkit ki me'etishan ve'yahira ve'imruhi giviati Adonai li velo ira. All right. Amotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Shabbat shalom.